Ginger's Man Club contains offensive language, adult themes, and life stories. If you are offended by any of these, please don't continue. Press the stop button. If you do continue, we can't be held responsible. We did warn you. Welcome to Ginger's Man Club, where we talk about issues that matter to us, 40-something men with ginger beards, along with balding heads and man boobs to boot. Get your choice of beverage and let us enlighten you with our tales and misdemeanors. Enjoy the show.
Oh, good evening. It's Tuesday night. It's just gone 9:15 in the evening, and you're back to the Ginger's Man Club show with myself, Adam, and Daniel, and a very special guest. I'll let Dan introduce this special guest.
You are so fucking professional, it's unreal.
Yep. So it's done.
I haven't got a cup of tea in my hand this time. I'd like to welcome on our special guest, known as a good friend of mine. Is a man that generally needs no introduction, but he's going to need one because he's on a radio show and normally he takes up a whole fucking camera. My good friend, my good pal, my good friend with a cup of Joe, Mr. Craig Parcell.
How you doing?
How are you? You all right?
Not too bad, but I must admit that is the worst cop out of using that. I like this.
And you didn't even give him the clap, Dan.
I'm sorry. Hang on.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You're going to get the clap now.
I'm going to get. You've got to be careful how you say that. So it's welcome to the show, Craig Parcell. Here we go. Ah, shit! I'm going to press the other button.
That shall be the first and last time that you will ever receive the clap.
Yes. So, how you doing, Craig? You well?
Yeah, not too bad. A bit tired, but there we go. Happy life.
So, is that with a happy wife, though?
Yeah, just work, new job.
Well. So, what is the latest stories that's been going on in your mind, then, Craig? What's tickled you pink, as it were?
Well, it depends on what you really want to discuss. I mean, we've got a new government. Who doesn't like talking about politics?
Jesus Christ, we did that on the first one.
Right in there, that's it, straight to the jugular.
Oh, fucking hell.
Is everybody clicking the unsubscribe button there?
Well,
I'm glad if they click the subscribe button, to be honest.
Let's be honest. It's comical in like it's like watching Pat Sharp's Funhouse again. You know what I mean?
Don't.
And we mentioned that as well.
Yeah, we've actually mentioned that. Someone else that has mentioned the twins. Lovely job. Yeah. Did you ever think for the twins, out of curiosity, Craig?
No, don't like twins. Oh. I like singular things.
Well, so you like singular breasts then?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I do like a pair.
I mean, I've only got one hand here and one hand over here, so I can only grab.
Yeah. Fucking hell! How big are your missus's tits if you can only get one of them in two hands?
No comment.
Probably a wise decision on that. No comment there.
I was going to say, yeah, it would be. So, you know what? You've really thrown a cat amongst the pigeons.
How big is this cat?
It's a fucking tiger-esque. Yeah. Tiger-esque. What? Do I like what Labour's doing at the moment? No. Do I think that we've got the clowns in charge? Yes. Do I think that they've actually turned around today and said that the economy is starting to grow?
Yeah, it must be growing under their feet.
Well, yeah, it's not exactly growing like bamboo, is it?
Well, let's be honest. The last person who run the country, well, for a long period of time, ended up selling most of the country off, didn't she?
Oh God! Now we're mentioning Maggie Thatcher, right? Right, okay. So in 4 minutes in, and we've managed to swipe every Labour voter and Conservative staunch supporter
Pretty much.
in the space of 4 minutes. Well, we've done really well there. Can't knock anybody for that.
That's a record.
So we've lost
and then
1% of your viewers then, yeah?
do you know what? The worst part is we might as well just throw the Liberal Democrats under as well by saying they don't even know the difference between a man and a woman. So, yeah, okay. And the Green Party can just go fuck off.
Well, I'll reform all the way, so there you go.
I think you'll find there's a lot of people that are
Mhm.
reform all the way.
Yeah.
Fuck, how did we get on to politics? Christ in hell.
You gave the option.
I did, yeah.
You did, yeah.
I
That's
did,
it.
yeah. That was a stupid move there.
You
Yeah,
could have started with anything. You could have started with sport. You could have started with what pajamas we like to wear at 9:20 at night. You know, anything you like.
I have had my.
When was commentary like sponsored by Pooguat as well?
That's Peugeot, you blind bastard.
Why do you look like an off-coloured blackjack?
I don't like blackjacks. Do you mean fruit salad?
No, because they were yellow and pink.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I'm wearing purple and yellow. Come on.
Yeah.
Blackjacks were black.
Bruised blackjack.
You can't be bruised.
Bruised blackjack.
So right, okay, fair play. Yeah, I've got no answer to that because, to be fair, when you actually look at it in a logical way, it does look a little bit like someone's whipped it with a 3 fucking whipped cleaver on it, you know. But forgotten they put a branding thing saying sponsored by Peugeot on you. But yeah, yeah, fucking politics. They're not my strong point. I'm not going to sit here and lie. But yeah, I don't like what's going on. I don't like what's going on, and I don't like the fact that they're penalising everybody that actually has to put their fucking hands into work.
It's not necessarily the penalising either. It's the downright lies. You know, they literally, it's like promising the world and then delivering nothing. You know,
sounds like most employers.
I mean, let's be honest, right? They promise no tax rises. They promise this, they promise that, and in like the first couple of weeks from taking over, taxes rise. Then employment rate. Oh yeah, we're going to improve the employment rate. No, you know, going to bring in more affordable houses. No, oh yeah, let's just blame the Conservatives. You know, it's easy to blame someone when you you know you fucked it up yourself or gonna be fucking it up. You know, lies will always get caught out. As simple as that. You know what I mean? They've been caught out within not even 6 months of being in power. You know,
I've had an interesting video sent to me of a parody of the A-Team, which actually has Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, Rachel Reeves, and David Lammy. I can't fucking stand David Lammy, but he'll call me a racist for saying that. And it basically is a carbon copy of the entrance of the A-Team with them just known as the shit team. And it's actually quite good, I have to admit. But yeah, you know, I was gonna, moving off topic a little minute. I mean, I was walking through B&M. I had to go and get some bath salts, and I've managed to damage my back again. And the physio said, I'll tell you what, mate, when you're as fat as I am and you have to roll everywhere, to stand up and use your legs is ridiculous. The physio said to me, he says, right, you need to get some magnesium bath salts. He said this brand beginning with E, and do you know what? I've heard it 5,000 times. I still can't remember what it is.
Epsom salts.
That's it. See, that's it. Other brands are available, like the one I had.
Old people use it for their feet as well.
Oh, thanks, mate. I really feel good about myself now.
Hey, I'm the oldest fucker here in the middle.
What,
I bet you've got a cupboard of it, ain't you? You got shares out in Epsom salt, have you?
Oh yeah. I'm the brand sponsor for them. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Is that what we've got to say now? Adam's sponsored by Epsom salt.
Epsom salt.
Removes the eggs.
And anyway, I'm walking through. I'm tutoring behind the missus, and I look at this tea towel, and I must be the only person that got the wrong idea straight away because it was actually titled "ribbed tea towel," and I genuinely sat there and went, "Fuck me, we're now using condom references on tea towels," and yeah,
Ribs for your drying pleasure.
that's it. See. Perfectly fine. You know what? I think Durex should fucking hire you, and whoever does tea towels. But yeah, it is just walking around. But do you know what? You can spend a fortune in that shop
You
on
spend a
shit.
fortune anywhere.
Yeah, on shit. Yeah.
It's shit. It's full of shit. Well, I say shit. It's great for the women, isn't it?
It's
And
shit what someone eventually will buy and want. Otherwise, just sell it for cheap and someone will buy it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, anyway, politics aside, how are Tottenham doing in the Football League at the moment?
You know how they're doing.
I don't
Terrible.
actually know what happened. I know that when we spoke, you said to me that Vardy was a twat.
Vardy is still a twat. In fact, I had a nice little fight on Facebook over Vardy recently. As it's like, as we'll clear the facts up now, right? Every football fan that gives it all the big un that Spurs have never won the Premiership and this, that, and the other. Let me correct people, yeah? 1950 to 1951 and 1960-61, if I'm not mistaken, right? Spurs won the First Division League. That was the highest top division at the time. Just because they call it something different now does not take away the fact that we have won the top division of football. Simple as that. It's still classed as a high honour of the top league in football, won by Spurs twice. And we actually done the double on one of them years as well. So end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, people's arguments about, oh, look, like Vardy does, we've won the Premiership, Spurs have never won the Premiership. Just because they call it something different now means nothing to me. Yeah, all the Leicester supporters going, "Oh, we beat Tottenham." It's like their prolific striker's scored 6 goals this season. Yeah, he's meant to be their out-and-out goal scorer. They're fighting a relegation battle just like we are. Why aren't he scoring goals? It's easy enough to point the finger at the teams that are not doing quite so well based on the fact that they've got probably a whole injured first 11. If you look at Spurs' injury list at the moment, Vicario, Udogie, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Basuma, Sarr, Maddison, Odevert, Solanke, Johnson. That is our first team, 100% first team for Spurs, right there injured for you. You know what I mean? And we're having to play with like half a team of youngsters and kids that have come up from the academy. The likes of Gray, the likes of Bergvall, all these players that are stepping up and showing their worth. You know what I mean? While we've got players like Manor Solomon over at Leeds doing really well for Leeds. Why wouldn't you recall him from loan if you're struggling that much? You know, players like Alfie Devine, who's doing really well away at the moment. Why wouldn't you bring him back? He's a decent midfielder, plays really well. We've recently bought like Dane Scarlett back from loan. Haven't played him yet. What's the point of that? Your team is struggling. You're fighting in a relegation battle. You understand that. But Pochettino said this 5 years ago. He said, Spurs need a rebuild. They need a big rebuild. It's going to be painful. It's going to cause a lot of rifts. It's going to cause a lot of problems with the club. And when the club accepts the fact that they're going to need to spend that sort of money out, it's going to take time. Liverpool done it. Man United are currently going through it as well. They're going through a slump. Even City this season, they're going through a slump because they've got an aging team. You know, their team is starting to get old, so they need to start investing in other stuff. I mean, they're hanging, 115 cases against them at the moment. They're going to get slapped by the FA sooner rather than later, and then we'll find out how much they're worth in when they're fighting up from League Two with no players and no budget and no money again. Be like Championship manager all over again. You know, but there's I get there's a bit of rivalry between teams and stuff like that, but nevertheless, there are contributing factors here. I mean, personally for me, I think Ange Postecoglou is bringing something different. He's bringing that sort of. Tottenham have always been an exciting team to watch. Don't get me wrong. You know, the entertainment factor, if you're a neutral, is above anything else that you can find in that Premiership. You know, because they bring that entertainment factor. There's no guarantee that they're going to win. There's no guarantee they're going to lose. They might lose like 2-3-0. They may win 3-2, 4-3, something like that. There's always an entertainment factor. You know what I mean? And people are, I think they're starting to forget that the fact that out there at the moment we've got like a third-rate team, new players, young players that are still just trying to find their form and find their abilities and where they're even playing. They're being played out of position. I mean, Archie Gray he's a midfielder by trade. He's playing right back, he's playing centre back, he's playing left back, he's playing defensive midfield. Not even in his position yet, and he's having an actual worldie. You know, couldn't ask for more. But players get tired, players get injured, and everyone's blaming the training regimes and stuff like that because Postecoglou had the same issue when he was at Celtic. Players were going down injured with hamstring injuries and leg injuries and stuff like that. It happens. You know, the conditions happen, and you can say, oh well, the conditions at these top Premier League teams and stuff like that, it's all state of the art. Doesn't mean nothing. You're a footballer, I'm a footballer. We played football throughout years together. You know what I mean? It only takes that 1 second to get, say, your studs caught in the 3G or the turf, and you twist an ankle, or you twist a knee, or you pull a hip, or you pull a flexor. You know, it takes ages to recover. That doesn't necessarily mean to say that the training is terrible. People have accidents, and people may say, oh, that's too much of a coincidence and that's naive to think that way. It could generally be the training package that they're doing there, but let's be honest, if you're training the team to be winners, you kind of got to expect that. You're trying to bring people, train people, and mold them into the way you want them to play. That's what you want from your team. That's what you want for your players. And you hear about it all the time. Oh, the players are prima donnas. They get paid all this money and they don't do anything, throw themselves around on the floor, bits and pieces like that. But when it comes down to it, everyone's quick enough to blame the managers. It's the players on the pitch that have got to do the job at the end of the day. The manager's there. He does the coaching. He does the training. The players know how to play. You know, they're not stupid. They know how to play football. It's just what they're doing and how people, it either becomes too obvious what we're doing, or, you know, on the occasions it works out and everybody's happy, but no one seems to want to take the good with the bad. They always want the good. Why aren't we challenging for the premierships? I mean, we haven't challenged for the premiership for years. You know what I mean? The last time we finished second was like years ago, and we actually had a storming season. You know what I mean? But players get older.
To Leicester.
Huh?
Ironically, to Leicester. Do you want to breathe at
Yeah.
any point? Just because I've just sat here, watched it. I've watched this. Honestly, no shit. And I'm just like, has he taken a breath?
I have a nose. I breathe in through here and it comes back here. It just recycles. Yeah.
Just do you know what? We should actually just label Talksport into just that monologue of your own there, and just sit there and go, and well done to you, Craig. You've done really well.
Well, while we've got Talksport on and while we've got Match of the Day in the question, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to back up my man Tim Sherwood. To be fair, because he's
Tim
the only
Sherwood,
person.
Mr. Fucking, I have an injury every week.
Yeah, but what we're talking about as a pundit, he was the first person to go out of his way to say
bullshit. That guy just stole a wage off of Coventry City, sitting there on the fucking treatment table. You are not going to convince me about anything to do with Tim Sherwood, apart from the fact he's a money-grabbing northern bastard.
He's the first person to sit there on live TV and actually question the motives of Man City with all their fight, with all their issues behind them. No one else wants to touch it. No one else wants to tell the truth. I mean, let's be honest. Man City have got 115 cases going against them. Why has that not been sorted out yet?
No, that's 115 cases according to everybody else.
115 cases for a team to have. Yeah, but they done it to Everton though, didn't they? They had like
they had about 4.
They had about 4 cases, yeah, and they deducted them points. So why are they not taking it in slabs, like taking away like 10, 15 or 20 issues at a time and then dealing with them issues first? Or, you know, put them into categories of, you know,
You have met Man City's even lawyers, yeah? They will throw back absolutely
Of course
everything.
they will. I get that.
But at the end of the day, I just need to bring something. Ad, what's your view on football?
What's that? What?
What, 22 blokes kicking a ball of air around? kissing each other
Adam
and
doesn't
falling
like
over.
football.
Oh yeah. No,
Adam is not a football fan.
No, I'm not. I'll admit that I prefer my motorsports and the occasional hockey game, but that's about it. So, but I'm just, I'll agree on certain things, and you see that when people are saying, what you brought up, Craig, was people go, oh, they're getting all this money and they're just, it's all about the endorsements and stuff like that. When there is a lot of skill that goes into it, and as you say, it's down to a manager and that putting them in the right place at the right time. And if they're not working together, then that's where it all goes wrong, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, not everybody's going to get everything right 100% of the time. But what can he do? Everybody's moaning about the manager at the moment because he doesn't make the right changes at the right time. What can he change when he's got a chairman and he's got an owner behind him that don't want to invest?
Name a club, right? Name a club in all the way down to level 10 that doesn't moan about substitutions being at the right time. Because I
agree.
know I'm
Everything.
as you know, I'm a Coventry City fan, and people will moan when we had Mark Robbins that he wouldn't make a sub till the 70th or 80th minute. Yet we now have Frank Lampard, who's making subs at 70 to 80th minute, and nobody's battering an eyelid because it's a different manager. But
yeah.
I guarantee it, when you see someone go down or we'll be 2-0 down and they'll be going, oh, you need to bring somebody on. Listen, we're all fans of Football Manager, apart from Adam, who clearly doesn't like football at all. But when you play Football Manager and the bit where you can go, oh shit, I didn't get a result I wanted, so I'm just going to reload the save beforehand to make sure I get that win.
Daniel's admitted to restarting the game, cheating bastard.
No, I am. Don't know what you mean, mate.
Save, new save, reload, done.
That sounds like a really detailed way of doing it. So I think somebody else
did it
has
on
been
Hockey
doing that.
Manager as well.
Don't know what. No, I didn't.
Exactly.
No, I didn't.
I mean, going back on obviously substitutions. I mean, I will agree on this one. Is that everyone complained about Southgate with England? During the Euros, during the World Cup, it was the same thing there. Substitutions weren't done until near enough the last minute, and everyone was like, "Well, what's the point?" You had players ready to go on that could have made the difference, and when they were subbed on, they did make a difference for that very short time. But it wasn't, they wasn't given that opportunity. There are a lot of players out there, as you say, that are on a lot of money, or as you say, coming in from loan, that want to prove themselves, and they're not given that chance. So when they are finally put on the pitch, they're just like, what's the point?
I agree. I mean, the only difference that we've got with England is you have got the abundance of national players. You've got the best of the world when it comes to the Premiership. Of all the players that play across Europe and England and stuff like that, you've got a selection, a decent selection of people. What people, and one of myself, which I've complained about many times before in regards to Southgate's ways he picks his team, is he's not going. He picks a team that he thinks is going to do well, and he goes off of hype of players. A player that's potentially had 2 or 3 good games. When you've got the likes of people that are you come up against a specific skill set team. So, like say, we come up against your Portugals, your Frances. Now, France's quality level is starting to is quite diminished over time because they're an aging team. Same like Italy, same like Portugal. All the players are starting to get older. So, for the younger players with a bit of speed and a bit of pace, a bit of agility, it's key for them to come on and be in the team because they can play, they can out pace, they can outspeed, they can outrun the players. But obviously, people will say, well, you can't trump experience and stuff like that. I agree to an extent. But when you've got a team that struggles defensively with set pieces, what are you going to do? Are you going to put a fast player on, or are you going to put a tactical player on that's going to get you them free kicks? For instance, we were when we were at the last major tournament sort of thing, they were continuously playing players on the wing, and they ain't wingers. When you had players of like, now don't get me wrong, people are probably going to have a difference of opinion about this because this is my opinion. Jack Grealish, hasn't really done much for his club, but does he get played enough to prove his point for his club? £100 million price tag, taken to Man City, never really played. And let's be honest, why you got a young player like Doku at the moment playing for Man City, you're never going to get a look in on that left-hand side. And prolifically, Grealish is a left-handed player. But for England, he's one of them players that will always get you free kicks. He'll always run at the players, which I admire, because he'll run at the players and he'll put himself on the line to be failed. Now, if you're a team that can't defend set pieces like that, he is your prime player that you want to put him against. You know what I mean? But we're not looking at that tactically. We're looking at more on the lines of, oh yeah, we need Mayo from Man United. You know what I mean? Because he's a young player. We want we don't want Kane up front. We want to put someone like Ollie Watkins and stuff like that. Kane is a captain. He is your proven goal scorer that will get you goals when you need it, penalties, stuff like that. He'll bring you an element of experience to the team, and he can play in all different positions and around that place. And he's a feeder. He's one of your players that you can put a long ball up to him. He'll hold the ball up for you so everybody gets past and he'll play the ball off. Unselfishly put himself out of position to play other people in because he knows what he can do and what the other teams or players around him are capable of doing. You know what I mean? But then you've got the flip side to that where you'll get Southgate playing someone like Henderson. Now, Henderson, don't get me wrong, he's an experienced player. Well off the pace now, should never be anywhere near the England team. And he's got him in the squad, taking up a player when he could have taken someone like Grealish, who got left behind. Did he not? There was also Spurs players that were prolific, like Maddison, didn't get taken. But they're going to take players that haven't even got a snowball's chance in hell of playing. But they're going to take them anyway on that just in case. You know, I don't know about anyone else, but I would prefer to have a playmaker like Maddison that I could turn to and go, you know what, get on there and get an assist. I don't care if you get us a goal, just make something happen. You know what I mean? Look at what Man United are doing to Rashford at the moment. You know what I mean? All the years of service and what he's done for the club and the goals that he's scored for the club. Now he's being alienated out of the club. You know what I mean? Potentially going, because he might be going to Barcelona or he might be going to, I mean, even Spurs have been put in that category of signing him and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't agree with certain coaches' mentalities. And I don't get me wrong, I didn't like Southgate as an England manager. I didn't like him simply because his technical strategy didn't make sense. He was setting up against certain teams and he was like playing teams with full on experience, and we lacked experience.
Here's the point then. Here's the point. If you listen, I'm no Southgate fan either, right? But to come out with a comment like that is pretty bad, considering he got us to a semi-final minimum, right? I know you're going to turn around and say, look at the teams we were playing. Don't matter. You had to beat what was in front of you. And based on that knowledge of what you're saying there is that he was tactically inept as such. He couldn't have got us there. But our players, with absolute respect in the world, England is not a great nation for football anymore. Right?
But did he get us there, or did the players get us there?
They both did, because at the end of the day, he had to pick those players. You know, he could have picked Maddison, and Maddison didn't go. And as a Coventry City fan, he should have gone, right? Because he's a Coventry City graduate, and he should have gone, and he had the right, in my opinion, to go. He never went. But you know, Gareth Southgate has got us to a European final, a World Cup semi-final. He has got us as far as anybody in the modern age, against people that, you know, when you talk about your Sven-Goran Andersons, your Fabio Capellos, he's got us further than they would ever get us. And they had, arguably, better talent at their disposal. So I can't agree completely that he didn't know what he was doing. But equally, I see where you're coming from. But I just want to raise one more point from a point on your vaginal monologue that you did earlier. You turned around and said about Tottenham bringing in all these reserve players, and they're proving their worth. With absolute respect, they're not proving their worth at all. Because if they were, you'd be higher up the table. And they're not.
I understand where you're coming from, but when you've got no other choice and you're bringing these players in and asking them to do a job for you, they can't do any more for you. Let's be honest.
Agree, but you can't say that they're proving their worth, when if they were proving their worth, they'd be up in the middle of the table.
Some of the players,
that's your youth team.
I understand that some of the players are proving their worth. Some of the younger players that are coming through are proving their worth. We've got so many players in our squad that when they're all fit, don't pull their weight, don't deserve to wear the kit, don't deserve to draw a wage for sometimes they play.
But
But
they're playing for the badge of a cock and ball.
when you've got an owner and when you've
Do we
got
just skip over that, Craig? Are we just going over that?
look at
We're not going to retaliate to that, no? Oh,
no,
okay, fair enough. You're just admitting you're a load of cock and ball, right?
we'll come back to this when we talk about Spurs beating Coventry 2-1 in the cup. What?
Yeah, I'm not being funny, but you're a better team than us, right?
You
Listen,
weren't on
you
the
were
night and you
lucky.
still lost.
We were better on the night.
You were the better team on the night.
I know,
Agree.
I know.
But who was it? Was it old Brenny Johnson
Oh, I don't fucking
that
know. Whoever
broke
it was,
everyone's hearts in like the 92nd minute?
And what, after the 91st minute goal?
Do you remember the celebration that I done when we scored?
Yeah, you were quiet.
Yeah, I just looked at you. I think it was that glare.
It's only because I actually said to you, we should have scored that. That disallowed one was a goal.
Was it?
But yeah, it was.
Was it? Was it?
But the referee says different. But the scenario for me there is that I even said it to you. I said, if we don't score a second, you're going to win this. And you went, I don't think so. The way we're playing, and then lo and behold, you fucking crucified it.
Yeah.
And they came back the other end and scored. And you know what? You can't argue with it. It was deservedly
Yeah.
so. Anyway,
We
more importantly,
we
hang
dropped
on a
off the
minute,
subject that one. Go on.
just slightly. Quick question, Adam. How's your missus's tits?
You what? Sorry.
Perky.
How's your missus's tits?
Lovely, thank you.
Good, right. We're bringing you in here because
That's
you
right.
just you
Well,
sat there looking like a fucking plum.
I'm
right?
gonna come in on the football conversation because I
Oh
mean,
fucking hell, here we go.
I've watched it quite. I mean, I've been online and stuff like that and watched a lot of the female matches. I mean, I was lucky enough to. I was lucky enough to actually work the women's Euros, and that it was absolutely brilliant. So I see quite a few of the games working the Euros, and everyone's going, well, it's two different kettles of fish. Women's game to a men's game is totally different. It's like, well, no, you could see that the women were working a lot better together than what the men did, and it showed through England's tournaments and stuff like that how well they worked together and how they worked well as a team. And that's what it's about. It's working well as a team. And as you say, you get some players that just think, well, I've got the ball, that's it. I'm going to go and do my own thing. And that's what people get pissed off with, is when you get certain players that just think, oh, fuck it, I've got the ball. It's my game. That's where, with the women's games, it was a lot more teamwork. And that's, from what I see. My sister goes to a lot of the female games over at Tottenham and stuff like that when they play games there. And she says she enjoys it. So it's, it's getting more people to go to the women's game, and even a lot of men are going to them because they're finding it a better atmosphere and a better play, and of talent that way. But I mean, what's your two views?
I agree. I mean, it was good for the Lionesses to win. It was nice for them to see for the hard work that they had put in. To be fair, because let's be honest. Well, the women's team didn't change much over the course of a few years as well. It was the same players that were playing and stuff like that. So they got time to gel. They knew exactly how each other played and stuff like that. And the teams they played really well against sort of thing. And they deserved what they got. They deserved winning the Women's World Cup. They definitely deserved it, to be fair. They played really well throughout. And I watched the whole tournament. So I've got... I completely get where we're coming from for the women's game and stuff like that. So, it's a shame they don't get more, for their for what they do. To be fair, I know there's that equal pay and stuff like that. Do I think it's fair that men get paid more than women? You got to ask yourself. It's not one of them things that is open to. Really open to debate. It's not really open to debate. Let's be honest, because the level of expectation and quality between the men's game and the women's game is completely different. We're talking different sponsorship. We're talking different levels of training, different amount of matches. You know what I mean? In comparison, the quality of the game and stuff like that, the training, that everything that comes with it is a few steps behind when it comes to the women's game. But that is probably because the women's game hasn't advanced nearly as much as it should have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You've got to say, right? I mean, we're all in our 40s here. When the
You're well
inauguration
in
of
your
the
40s,
Premier League, right?
you old bastard.
In 1992,
When you were
when
12. You old
I'm actually generally have to think about that, I was 9. In 1992, when the Premier League was formed, you've got to look at that and go, that was when money was really starting to be spent on the men's game. It was when Sky Sports pumped a load of money, and Sky has continually pumped a load of money into the Premier League, and it's starting to do it in the Championship. And don't be surprised if Premier League 2 becomes the Championship. And I reckon they'll swing that down to 20 teams and all, and then there'll be a League 3 if you want. The women's game hasn't had that, and it won't get that, sadly.
It's a shame, really. I mean, I'd love to see a lot more from it, because, as I say,
I think it's more along the lines of, because of funding for most teams, they're not able to field a team because there isn't enough money in the game for them to warrant
not
doing
that. I think that there's also not a lot of women that are actually interested in football, and there's going to be a lot of women that shoot me down over that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's as many women.
That's because most
football.
women now can identify as fucking toasters, so you can't really.
Well, all right.
You can't have 11 fucking toasters or dishwashers on the fucking pitch. That is not
I
a
don't
pun
know.
at women.
I was going to say
that wasn't
there's
a dig
something
at
there
women
in
being
that.
dishwashers or cleaning in the kitchen or anything like that. So don't even go down there. But
Is that why the Queen?
if you're born past 2022 or even within the 2010 era, you know what I mean. Society has allowed you to think that you can identify as anything less than a male or female, which I'm
Fuck
sorry.
me, we've had this conversation.
Well, we're not. We're not there, mate. You were born a male or a female. You either have a penis or you have a vagina. You're either male or you're female. On the rare occasion, you can have both, and you could be a Mr. Hermaphrodite. But then you get the choice. But you don't get to decide whether you're a fucking toaster, kettle, fucking microwave. I want to marry a fucking tree because I'm a fucking tree hugger or a window licker. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, that shit doesn't wash. You're a boy or a girl. You know what I mean?
I saw this video not long ago, right? I saw this video not long ago. Sorry, Ad. And it was a policeman pulling over this person for a traffic. It was in America, so obviously it was all over hype.
The one that identified as a cat. Is that where we go?
Yeah. And he sat there and he went, "Well, I can take you to the pound and
to the nearest vet for your vaccinations, or I can fucking cite you up to take you in and get you some psychological fucking help."
Yeah, he basically said you shouldn't be driving anywhere if you're a cat. Animals aren't allowed to drive.
Animals are not permitted to drive vehicles, so I'm going to cite you for that as well.
I think the best part about it was when he turned around and goes, "I don't know, I ain't got $70 to pay the fine."
And then he looked at the person in the passenger seat and said, "Are you his handler? Do I have to talk to you?"
Yeah,
I thought that was funny as well. I mean, I would have just double tapped the fucker right there, mate, and done us all a favour.
To be honest,
you know what I mean?
Bad shirt.
I identify as a millionaire, but I'm not one.
You know what I mean? Done.
Yeah.
No more arguments.
I mean, I'm definitely a lesbian. I'm just trapped in a man's body.
Well, let's be honest. There's nothing you would do that they wouldn't do to themselves anyway.
Exactly. So I'm doing really well in the circus with this beard.
Well, this is the thing. You explain to me why lesbians, they prefer to take the route of the lesbian, but then they'll use dildos on each other that are shaped like penises. Why?
Here's the thing, right? I'll tell you what, right? I remember when I used to, in the early days of the company, I used to go out and there was this one particular operator who was gay, and I didn't realise it at the time. And I asked him a couple of questions. He turned around and said to me, "I'm as bent as a 9-bob note." His words, not mine. And I remember asking, I said, "So, I mean, this, what is it? I don't understand it. So educate me." He said, "That's fine." He said, "But I'll tell you something. I like cock." He says, "I like cock." He says, and I don't like fanning, I like cock. I says, right, okay, well that's fair enough. We're pretty sure on that. He's like, yeah. He says, but what you'll find is it's really funny in the gay world, as he called it, is that you have, as you do in the heterosexual world, a masculine and a feminine. You won't have two masculine and you won't have two feminines. They don't work. He said they'll be in a relationship for a while and then they'll get sick of each other, and then they'll have a masculine person and a feminine person. He said it is basically like having a man and a woman. They've just got the same body parts because that's what they prefer. And I went, oh, so there isn't much difference really, is there? And he went, well, apart from the sexual positions, no. And I've spoken to a few people about it, and they've all agreed. It's actually really shocking that you've got a feminine gay and a masculine gay.
It's the same as women. For women, you'll always have one that's very masculine and one that's very feminine.
butch.
So it's
Yeah. You'll have someone that is a bitch and someone will be the butch.
I was being very diplomatic about it.
I'm not going to be fucking
why.
diplomatic. I'm going to call it as it is. You know what I mean?
I was trying to be diplomatic.
No, we don't like politics, Dan. We'll not sit on the fence here. We'll call it as it is. One wants to be the bitch, one wants to be the butch.
One wants to be the giver and one wants to be the receiver.
That's exactly it. One doesn't want to take it up the arse, one does. Simple as that. Someone wants to eat from the furry cup, someone wants to fucking push into the furry cup.
Fair enough. So yeah, I've got to admit it's it opened my eyes a little bit. Apart from the KFC scenario, which I have spoken about on a previous show about the KFC scenario over at Midlands. But no, I don't think it would be the Midlands in Northamptonshire, but we'll go with it. South Midlands. Sod it. We can be geographical every way we want, but it was along the A45. And
are we classing like Coventry as South Midlands?
It's West Midlands. It's Coventry.
Yeah, it's kind of in the fucking middle, ain't it?
Well, it's the middle of the Midlands.
The middle or the bottom of the Midlands.
So yeah, aye. So yeah. So are we gonna move to a more sensitive subject now? Are we?
No. I mean, the more west you go, the more sheep you get. The more east you go, the more webbed you get. Webbed feet, window lickers.
What the fuck does that say about you?
Well, I come from London, so that doesn't count for me. I'm just harbouring over in this direction. You know what I mean? But the further you go,
meat, mate.
the closer it seems you go to sort of Norwich, the more webbed feet you get, and the more
brilliant,
the more sisters and cousins you tend to have relationships with.
I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for Norwich to be mentioned, and I have mentioned Norwich in a previous episode.
There's me, the most north person here, I think.
That's not something to be proud of.
Yeah, Norwich. Something reminds me about Norwich. They beat you too, didn't they?
That's only because they can kick with webbed feet.
That's it.
And that's not fair.
Kicking with their flippers.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, it's funny because the pitch was waterlogged and they fucking swam through the fucker like you wouldn't believe. But no, yeah. So here's a question then for you then, Craig. What suffering have you had at the hands of a woman? Because now hang on, it's not fair because it's only fair that I point out that obviously you are fully aware of what I've been through, right? You are fully aware of what I've been through, and I am aware of what Adam's gone through. And the actual reason why we set this up was to basically talk shit and basically get it off our chest, right? Where we've been stung by the opposite sex. And we know that there's people out there. I mean, I spoke about child. Luckily, you haven't had to deal with this. I don't know if Adam will. But the child maintenance service, I'll say it once, I'll say it, are a bunch of cunts. Right?
I've not gone down that route yet, so...
Yeah, well, pray you don't. Because they are, and I don't care, Keir fucking Keir can't, they're Starling, that's it, innit? Keir Starling can come and find me over the child maintenance scenario. What I'm going to say about them, because they're a load of twats. And I pray that anybody going through it needs to speak to people at Fathers for Justice to be able to fucking kick those bastards into touch. Obviously, I didn't have fathers for justice when I was going through it all, but it's imperative that people do. Adam, why are you taking a picture of your knob?
I'm not. So I'm taking a picture of us. It's going on
Oh,
Twitter.
fuck. Oh, shit. Right.
Let's just figure it out.
So, what are you able to say? And what advice would you give to those people listening out there? Apart from being a Spurs fan, which I know infuriates you more than anything in the world. But when it
Well,
comes to the opposite sex, I am aware that you've got a good one now, right? And that's brilliant because you've seen the light and you've managed to find someone that actually liaises with you and gets on with you, which is the most important thing about a relationship. But what pitfalls did you have that you've now managed to avoid thanks to another that's been a complete and utter arsehole?
Well, I must admit, I'm gonna obviously dampen your spirits now, because I will be brutally honest.
You've never been with one of my women, so don't tell me that.
No, because I know more about your past tense. Well, I do probably know more past tense about yourself in your relationships than
Yeah,
of anyone else. Now, that's not because
that's quite impressive. You know more about me than yourself.
let's be honest, you've definitely put yourself out there more than I have.
Don't know what you mean.
Gigolo. Right.
I wasn't a gigolo. Right.
That's not what I've heard. I've got the
Yeah.
pictures. Right. This one's going to be a difficult one for me because I'm going to be brutally honest.
You were never fucking perfect. Don't give us that shit.
No. I've not really had a bad relationship. You know what I mean? I'm married now. Love my wife. I've got a son. Got everything that I could have asked for. You know what I mean? The only thing that I would probably say is that it didn't happen sooner. You know what I mean? If I'd met her sooner, well, I've known her. I've known her for like years. I've known her for. We've been married for what now? 10 years this year.
The fact you had to think about that is slightly concerning.
No. We've been.
Bit like you having
trying
to
to think
think
of
about
how
something
long
earlier,
we've
Daniel.
known each other for like nearly 18 years as friends,
Yeah.
work colleagues and friends going out and stuff like that. You know, and I will agree, she's probably been the best thing that I've ever done, ever have, everything like that. You know what I mean? We've got a kid together. We've got
What
a
a
house.
fucking
We've got
item.
everything that I've wanted or I've ever wanted, I found now. You know what I mean? And if I'd decided to go sooner for marriage with my wife now, we'd only be further along the marriage route than what we are now. But it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? But I can't actually turn around and say that I've had bad issues, even with my previous before my wife, because let's be honest, no one is ever squeaky clean. No one is ever at fault for arguments and stuff like that. I mean, arguments, arguments is a part of a healthy relationship. You know what I mean? If you come to me and say, I never argue with my partner, or I never argue with my girlfriend, never argue with my wife, you're a fucking liar. And I will call you out straight, because if you're not having them arguments, you're not having them little things that annoy you about one another and stuff like that, you've not got a real relationship. You really haven't, because that's the whole point of experience and learning from your mistakes. You know what I mean? I went out with I've been out with a vegan. You know what I mean? Who didn't last very long. I can tell you now, because I'm a meat eater. Wasn't happening.
I'm with a vegetarian.
A vegetarian, eh?
Yeah, and
or a pescatarian?
No, just
an actual vegetarian.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Because
Put your nosh on a bit of fish.
I like winding people up about being vegetarians and stuff like that, and pescatarians and vegans and stuff like that. But we'll move on to that in a minute. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to disappoint you with the with the line of questioning that you've gone down, because my experience is solely based on other people's problems, because I've effectively become, over the course of the years, and this is not a moan and a groan at anybody, but I am the male version of what you would think is an agony aunt, so an agony uncle. You know what I mean? Because unlike some guys, I can listen to other people's problems and give fairly good advice, I think. You know what I mean? And that's not me being conceited or think that I'm fucking better than everyone else or anything like that. It's not the case. But
Would you like
let's
another
be
comment I'll
honest.
just add?
Let's be
He's got a
honest.
column in the Sun as well, you know.
The you know, I look at things from an outsider's point of view and more of a realistic point of view rather than experience. You know what I mean? Now, Daniel, you know, over the course of the years with everything that's gone on in your life, you know what I mean, from where we come from, when you used to live in London, when you moved to Stevenage, when you moved to Doncaster, you know what I mean? I've been there through everything that you've gone through. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to bow my mouth for anybody, name anybody, anything like that, because anybody that knows you knows the shit that you've gone through. And to be fair, with all due respect, would probably have finished off most people. You know what I mean?
Thanks, mate.
It's,
I'm just too thick.
no, I'm being deadly serious. I mean, you hear about it all the time where you know, people have. I mean, got stuff that will hit home. Yeah, I've got you hear about people committing suicide all the time over things that are like half as trivial as what some people have gone through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, and I don't know what, I've never been in that situation. I don't know what pushes people to that limit of thinking that they need to take their own life. I don't understand it. But that is, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean to say that people, you know, people don't feel that way. It's just that I've never encountered anything like that myself. However, I have spoken to people that have them sort of tendencies. In fact, quite recently, up to where I left my previous job, we had someone that is for the better part of a couple of years, she's had a hard time of going through relationships where she has just been a victim of domestic abuse. You know what I mean? Very hard to discuss that sort of stuff with people when they don't want to open up, or if you've never gone through experience of domestic abuse and stuff like that. But it's, you can give people advice based on what you've read and past experiences and stuff that you've had in your life, or you've known someone who's gone through that and stuff and bits and pieces like that, and you can advise. But unfortunately, it's only advice. It's not a quick fix. It's not something you can take as gospel and stuff like that. But, you know, good for her. She's out of that sort of thing. But you've got the emotional scars that are left behind after an ordeal like that. You know what I mean? I mean, coming back to something for you, for instance, the way everything panned out from where you started to where you were comfortable. You had a house, you had a partner, you had a family growing. You know what I mean? And then it was all in an instant taken away, and it's gone. You know what I mean? And we had these conversations before, didn't we? When it was time to move on from Stevenage, when where we were and stuff like that, and you moved up to Doncaster. And I'll be brutally honest, and whether you liked it, whether you want to talk about it or stuff like that, or you can just tell me to shut the fuck up, it's up to you. But I see you personally at the very, very, what I believe to be your very lowest point ever.
I remember we have broached this, which is why I'm not bothered about talking about it, because it doesn't affect me. And you know what? If somebody does listen to this and they're in that incredibly low position that I was, which is where, as I said before, you hit the deck, you face planted the floor, like the real floor, the proper floor, not the mismatch of items that are there, but you hit the stone floor, and that is where you build your foundation from for yourself.
There's only one way to go after that, and it's up.
Yeah, there is. And you know, I know that when I went through the split with my ex, I nearly said her name now. I know you were going through a split at the same time with yours, which was difficult for you. I remember that. But the scenarios were different in the respect of the conditions were different. And I'm not saying that your breakup at that point was less or more than mine, but the conditions of the breakup were different, if that makes sense. I'm not putting you down here, by the way. I'm just saying
I would agree completely, because when you look back at the conditioning behind what had happened and what I lost in comparison to what you lost was like astronomical. Minor.
No, you see, I disagree. Not because I might have got this wrong, so you might have to correct me. Yes, I didn't lose my house at that moment, but I lost my house. My home, as it was, became a shell. And I lost my partner. I lost my daughter. I lost my dog. And I eventually lost 2 of the 3 chairs that were in the living room. But let's not beat about the bush on that. Whereas yes, I might have lost my family unit, but in your scenario, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I remember it this way, which is probably going to be that I'm wrong. You were going through a really shitty. See, I didn't go through the cheating scenario, whereas you did, and that for me is incredibly difficult. I have questioned whether my ex did go behind my back at that point and find somebody else, and I've got no proof to say that she did or she didn't. But you did, and to know that your trust in someone was that strong to be broken that way. Yes, I know that there wasn't a child involved, but you you weren't happy. But you went through something I haven't gone through, and I know if Adam can go, well, actually, Adam has gone through this, because to have somebody encroach into your relationship and do that to you is gut wrenching. I've not gone through that, or I perceive it as gut wrenching, because I wouldn't like it if I was knocking off somebody over there on the left hand side, and then suddenly she was going elsewhere and getting a fanny field of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gone through that. As much as there has been times where I have genuinely thought about it with my ex, I can't say for sure if she did, so I'll just play dumb and say that she didn't. But in both of you, actually, you've both gone through something like that, and that's not easy, because the question I have for that, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I think I know the answer. How do you recover trust for somebody else, even though I know they haven't done the wrong? And I've been on the other end of this. I've been on when I went out with somebody had been cheated on, and I got the backlash. Right, I got the backlash. I got kicked with the "you're going to cheat on me," which I stand so against. It's unreal. And I have my reasons for that. And the scenario for me right there is that for somebody to be able to trust another person, which I know you go into a relationship, you have to trust them, don't you? Let's be fair, you have to. You've got no choice, right? You go into this relationship with this woman with this absolutely fantastic figure and fantastic personality, and they're clearly not true, because you don't have both all the time. But you go into this and you go, you know what, I'm going to put 100% of my faith into this woman, and we're going to start a relationship. And if it goes somewhere, that's great. How is it that if somebody's done that to you, how do you try? I mean, it's going to be there, surely. It's always going to be there. How do you manage to knock that away to enable yourself to trust someone, even though the last person did it to you, destroyed probably a lot of your confidence? It did for you, Craig, at the time, and thank God you rebuilt it, because
I can
that's
see.
not a slight on you, right? That's not a slight on anybody. What's your view on that, Ad? Because you're incredibly quiet.
Yeah, I mean, your barriers do come up, and it does take a lot for you, to lower your barriers and to have that trust. You say to them, yeah, I've got trust, in them, but there's always that little bit of doubt in your mind, and it will always creep forward, especially when it's a long distance relationship like mine is at the moment. If you don't hear from them, your mind plays tricks. It's like, oh, why are they not, are they talking to somebody else? And it does. Your mind just keeps playing tricks on you. So you end up slipping up. Sometimes it can be a downfall of a relationship. That person may never ever, cheat on you, but you put that doubt and doubt and doubt on yourself, and then you slip up, and then that person sort of thinks, well, hang on a second, I'll just go to somebody else anyway. So then you sort of back to square one. So it's knowing how to sort of, I suppose, hide your demons of what you've had in the past, but trying to sort of open up your barriers that little bit more, to have faith in somebody. And it is difficult. I mean, it's different for everybody. Say I can't, talk about what happened with Craig, because obviously I wasn't about that point, so I didn't obviously know what you went through. But yeah, it does obviously play on the back of your mind, and it always will do. Yeah, I'll probably still have a little bit of doubts, but I mean, well, I've doubts now about my ex-wife, because she's now gone back to her first ex-husband, and it makes me wonder how long it was before.
You're making it sound like an episode of EastEnders, mate.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather be in an episode of EastEnders than what my life has been the last year, because it's just been one hell of a whirlwind. I mean, obviously, Craig, I don't know how much you know if Daniel said anything, but I'll explain probably off air on that front. But obviously, something you touched on earlier, about suicides and stuff like that. As we've mentioned in previous podcasts,
last one had it.
Yeah, I'd say, if them thoughts are running through your head, there are people out there to listen to you. If you're a guy, you've got Andy's Man Club, you've got the Samaritans, you've got Crisis Line. Females, I'd say it's Crisis Line, Samaritans. I don't know if there's any particular just female ones out there.
Andrea's Man Club, Andrea's Woman Club. There you go.
But yeah, say it's when you get them thoughts running through your head, which I've been there on a couple of the times actually, years and years ago, before obviously with my ex-wife, but it wasn't through relationships that time. So different factors can bring on different triggers and stuff like that for wanting to go down that route, and it's how you steer yourself out of that route. And the first time I steered myself out of it, which I was really pleased with myself, because I realised what I'd done and went and got the help. This time around, obviously, I was more pushed into getting the help, and counselling is not the easiest of things. Anyone that says, "Oh, counselling helps you out," it's a good way of getting what's off your chest with somebody that that doesn't know you, that can't judge you, but it goes through your mind of, you're talking to somebody, but are they really judging you? They're saying that they're not, but are they? So you've always got that doubt on your mind. So it's a very sort of delicate situation when it comes to sort of speaking about your feelings and stuff like that. So, but yeah, say it's been a bit of a roller coaster of a ride since May last year to now. I mean, you've seen me over the last few months, Dan, the changes that I've been through, and and obviously the down periods, and I'm hoping that I'm getting back to where I was, but hitting rock bottom is one of them hardest points, so I mean, every guy and every woman deals with it in different ways, and that was my way of dealing with it.
I think the idea of the podcast was based solely on talking about things like that, because I think as a generation, we spoke about this, Craig, you'll probably agree, that we were told you have to be a man and suck it up, buttercup, and now we're now being told, no, you must talk about it, and it's a complete 180-degree U-turn to what we were told as kids. You're a boy, you need to stand strong, and you need to be a man and grr and flex the muscles that I clearly don't have. Whereas now it's more of you must talk about these things, and that's why we've come up with this idea. And if you know what, you might not be able to talk about it, but if you can listen to somebody else and go, it's not just me, and that's the key point. And as much as when we're all in these positions, even in the suicidal area, we're always thinking it's only us that's ever going through it, and it's not. There's loads of people. We just don't talk about it. We see women always moaning and groaning about how that they've been done by and things like that, but you never hear about a man sat there going, "Yeah, we're the highest ones for suicide. I think it's 1 in 7 or something like that, 1 in 4." And if this podcast finds one person, if it saves one person from going, fucking hell, someone else is going through this and all, you know, if we might save one life, we've done our job.
Yeah. I mean, even touching on something Craig said earlier, about domestic abuse and stuff like that. It's always publicised in the paper, media, and stuff like that. Men are, always abusing women, but the amount of men that are being abused by women is just not recognised. It's not publicised as much, and that's why everyone sort of goes, "Oh yeah, well it's always a man that does this to a woman." But you never see it from the other side of the story, because men, don't like saying, "Well, I was abused by my partner" and stuff like that. And it's a shame. If you don't be afraid, just talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, touching on a couple of things that you were bringing up and stuff like that. Yeah, I completely agree. It is difficult for people to talk and open up, especially from our generation. The Gen Ys and everything like that. And
You're gonna have to put that in English for me, mate, because I ain't got a fucking clue
your Gen
what that
Ys,
is.
your Gen Zs, your Gen Es, you know what I mean? Your
Genitals?
millennials. Yeah, we were brought up along the lines of, if you're a guy, you have to be the strong, the independent, the show no fear, show no emotion. You had to be. That was what it was like for us growing up. Because if you didn't, you got the shit kicked out of you at school for it, because you were that wasn't the way of that wasn't the way of life back then. You know what I mean? The whole emotional side of things just wasn't there. So you had to, especially from my day and age, you had to deal with that on your own. You had to sort of, there was no, for some people there was no turning to other people, because it was so frowned upon. It was just like, people would take it as a sign of weakness if you were to sort of bring that stuff up, which is solely not the case, even in this day and age, sort of thing. Like we said about the suicide and the domestic abuse and stuff like that, there's always someone out there who will listen. There's always someone out there who will give you advice, give you guidance. You know what I mean? And I agree. If it comes, if even if this is like watched by one person, that it sort of changes their outlook and saves that one person, then brilliant. It's great. But the people, you need to understand that if you are going through these sort of things, there are people out there to help. You just need to take that leap of trust, kind of thing. You touched on it, on my relationship. That's probably the only relationship that's ever finished bad for me, where I was cheated on. It's difficult. You asked, how do you get past them sort of things? How do you move on? You never do. You never heal from them sort of things. It's part of your learning curve. It's part of who you are, who we are. And it's a part of life, as it would be, if that's a bit too much of a cliche. But it is a part of life. It's a part of growing. It's a part of experience. It's a part of life. You know what I mean? Don't wish it on anybody. You know what I mean? Is to be honest, don't wish that on anybody, because it's not a nice feeling to have. It's one of them things that will eat your relationship alive from the inside out. Do you get over being cheated on? No, never do. How do you refrain from going down them same routes? you learn to pick up on traits, which can be a bad thing, can be seen as a good thing, because while you don't want to be painting someone else with the same brush of a previous relationship, you kind of need to let go as much as you can, if that makes sense. You kind of need to understand that not everybody out there is that sort of person. You know what I mean? I'm certainly not that person. I never have done, never will do, not got any intentions of doing, you know. And to have that to someone, it's like, in terms of put it into other terminology, it's like people that like be animals, if you like. I love animals, you know what I mean. I can't see harm done to animals or stuff like that. But you look at people in the light of, how can you do that? How can you do that to an animal, let alone a human being? You know what I mean? It's easier, I suppose, in them sort of scenarios. It's easier to think, well, it's justified. I've got reasons of why the person's not giving me what I want. This person is, you know what I mean. That's bullshit. That's an excuse you're telling yourself. That's an excuse that you're using to make the reasons why you're doing it acceptable. It's, you know, when you go down that route, you're making that decision. It's you're making them excuses to justify what you're doing to that other person, which is wrong. You know what I mean? Because that sort of stuff eats it away at you inside. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't wish it on anybody, sort of thing. And you never do get over it. You never do get over it. There is always, like Adam said, there is always that little certain bit of doubt that creeps in and go, are they, have they, will they? You'll never get over that, because you'll find that there are traits leading up to bits and pieces and stuff like that happening. You'll look back and you go, I've seen this before. This is where we've gone before, and it'll bring back all them memories, and then you start catastrophizing. So you're like, well, hang about, they done that, she done that, he done that before. Now I'm seeing that again. You know what I mean? That sort of scenario. And that's a recipe for disaster as well. You need to, as hard as it is, you kind of just need to let it go, because that is simply your mind thinking for a reason, or searching for a solution it can't find. You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, when you come to the lines of, there's all different forms of it. It's not just like the physical aspect of sex and stuff like that. There's emotional abuse behind it as well. There's emotional side of things that is just as bad. You see it on, I mean, if you've got TikTok, if you've got YouTube, you've watched it, you've probably seen, like, many of people have seen out there, like, it's not, the abuse isn't always physical. You know, you get some people you see nowadays, and I get stuff is staged and stuff like that just to prove a point, but you'll get women out there destroying people's computers and PlayStations and Xboxes and gaming accounts and stuff like that, because they think it's funny. You know what I mean? Like, people going, oh well, he didn't buy me this for my birthday, so I'm not going to let him play PlayStation, or I've destroyed his PlayStation, I've destroyed his property because he hasn't paid me enough attention this month, or he hasn't taken me out for the 3 meals he took me out last month. All that sort of stuff. It's all psychological. It's all emotional. It's all emotional that builds up and stuff like that. So not everything is physical. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's enough as words. You know, just saying stuff to people that just puts them at unrest or belittles people and stuff like that, and it's just like, there's no need for it. You know what I mean? It's all different types of things that can be brought up with these sort of things, and yeah, you never really get over it. It's one of them things where you've got to learn to live with it. You learn to move on. Because if you don't move on from it, and you don't learn from it, and you don't just like file 13 it and leave it in the past, history just will bring it back up and repeat itself, because you'll put yourself in them situations, and then you just potentially look at yourself and put yourself back in them situations, and you're just asking for trouble. I mean, when you have literally hit that rock bottom, as we were discussing before with yourself, like Adam was saying before, the only way out of that is up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we'll go back to the situation that we had when if you like, when you potentially lost your house and lost your family and stuff like that, Dan.
Yeah.
I was there. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it wasn't that you needed me. It wasn't that you wanted me. It was the fact that the option was there to have if you needed it. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, I travelled everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was
I'd come down.
nasty.
Oh, it didn't bother me because I know that the need was there to be there at the time. You know what I mean? And we had this conversation, didn't we? We had this whole conversation about, stick it out now, it'll get better. The only way it can go is up. Bide your time, all them sort of things. And let's be honest, I would like to think that, over the course of the years, we've discussed this in many a time before, but we've gone through these scenarios where the advice that I'd given, I think, was fairly justified advice at the time. And let's say, not that I'm a mystic meg or anything at all, but let's be honest, what I said in previous conversations has pretty much come to pass, hasn't it? So,
Some of it, I won't deny that.
there
are things. Obviously, you're not going to get everything 100% right.
No, of course.
Nobody is. But I think the problem that you've got, as much as advice is given, not just by, and I'm not aiming you at this one. In general, I'm talking about when you sit there and all you've got is despair around you, and that's no disrespect to the people that were trying to help me. That was a really, really, it's a fucking dark place. It really is, and I know that people that will be listening to this, and I'm sure you can liaise with that, Craig, and I'm sure Adam can liaise with it, where everybody else's version of a despair is probably different, but all with the same meaning. And when in my case, when you've had the family ripped away from you, and as I said previously, I waited 4 or 5 years, which was stupid. And I said that before, and I'll say it again. It was stupid of me to sit there thinking that at the time all I ever wanted was my ex back, and I can admit it now because I'm pretty open about it. But in that time, as I said before, that the world is still spinning. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. Time is still going. It's irrelevant. Your life is irrelevant in the world of time. And I sat there for a good 4 years. I mean, I mentioned the thing that you did to me at the Sheffield Arena, where you shouted out to that woman, "He likes you. He likes you." And I fell for that one. I haven't mentioned that one. I've mentioned that you've done that to me in the past.
That was a
But
regular. That used to be a regular
it
occurrence.
was, yeah. And
It
I think the
was.
problem, I think the funny part about that was you actually used to say to me, "Go on then, what's wrong with her?" And I'd normally find a fault.
There would be an excuse. The nose,
It would
the
be, and it
ears.
would be, yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
something pathetic, right?
Yeah, I think we all
And
picked
a
on you
lot
for
of
that
that,
one.
yeah, I think you did. And the issue with that was
Picky.
that yeah, I was really looking for any reason not to go with somebody because I still felt the attraction and the love and the thing, even though this person, in essence, had ripped me apart, chewed me up, and spat me out, and was still, as I said previously, was probably going around shagging other people at the time. Not a fucking thought about me. But the scenario for me was all I wanted was my family back, and I was never going to get it. You look back now and I think, what a fucking waste of time. I could have been shagging all sorts. Well, I wouldn't have been because of my state of what I look like. But the, scenario there was that I just pined and it was despair and it was dragging me back. And, and I said this before about sitting at a bench at a crossroads where you either go left and go back with your ex-partner, you go right and move on. And I didn't know where to go. I had no idea. That the unknown is such a horrible place when you actually don't know what's in it. But I think but that goes for anybody. I mean, when you split up, when we've all split up with women here, so we know how it feels. I only I didn't feel it once, and that was when I split up with a girl. I'm not going to say her name. And she kept my bloody Kappa jacket, and I let her have it. And you know what? It was towards the end on that one. The likelihood of her listening to this is 0 to
You get a knock on the door with the jacket.
0.0001. I hope not, 'cause I wouldn't fit in it. But the scenario for that one was, I remember a friend of mine and also a friend of Craig's actually rung me up to say, is it all right if I ask her out? And you know who this is, by the way, Craig?
I do.
Yeah, and it was really funny. What I found really funny about that was that said friend of mine and my now ex and a friend of mine's wife decided to walk into the Rising Sun pub in Edmonton with minstrels attached to their faces. And yeah,
Needless to
I
say,
was
said
never.
person was quite upset with this, and she ran out of the pub fairly quickly in tears as well. If
Yes, but what made
if I remember,
yeah, she had a problem with my friend's now wife, and my ex was saying, no, I've got a problem with you, and she kept saying, I don't have a problem with you. She goes, well, I have with you. And I had to go outside, and I was trying so hard not to laugh myself, because as much as I was disgusted by it, I did snigger a little bit. But that relationship, that shouldn't have happened. That was me being forced into a corner and me not being able to say no. And I admit that all the way through. But she was lovely. Don't get me wrong. She was. She had a heart of gold, but she just wasn't for me. And I'd actually got dumped in the said friend's brother's fruit van at the back, fruit machine van at the back. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I never felt anything about that. When she said, I think we should call it quits, and I said, yeah, that's fine. I was in my mate Ryan's car at that point. I went, well, it looks like I'm single, and I wasn't bothered. And that's one of the only times and I haven't had many, to be honest. I haven't, where I've not stipulated it. In essence, I wasn't bothered. I wasn't bothered. I think the one, when you talk about trust, I think the time I really got angry about a breakup of a relationship was when said girl, who is in one of my stories, not in this podcast as of yet, but I met up with her at. She asked to meet me at a McDonald's in northeast London, and I was happy to meet her. And I just got myself a quarter pounder with cheese meal, and I'll always remember this because she sat down in front of me with a milkshake, and I was just about to eat. And the agreement, I'll give the backstory, it's only brief, was that I would be with this girl for 13 days out of 14, right? And I used to see my daughter every other Saturday because of the scenarios of her mum wanting her at weekends and the fact that she had loads of parties to go to and things like that. So we managed to get it that I used to see her one Saturday every 2 weeks. And my agreement with said lady was, I am yours for technically 13 and a quarter days, right? All I ask is that when I'm with my daughter, leave me alone, right? That was what I said. Leave me alone. That's my time. I get it for, call it 8 hours. Call it 8 hours just for ease of use, right? The rest of the time when I will speak to you on the phone up to the gate, no more. And when I leave the gate, I will talk to you, right? Which I thought was fairly reasonable, right? I'd like to point out for the benefit of the tape, the two lads actually did nod their head at that point, right? Because they can't see you, remember? And
Sure.
And I remember coming to the McDonald's, and she sat there with a milkshake while I'm sat there with a fucking quarter pounder with cheese meal, large. And she said, "Why don't I come before your daughter?" And I sat there and I went, "I'm sorry, what? You what? Why don't I come before your daughter?" And you know what? I'm upset to this day that I left my meal. I left the restaurant in such a huff that she thought that she could come before my daughter. That I actually left a full-blown meal. I took the drink.
Not like Daniel.
I took the, I know. And she sat there. She apologised, but as far as I was concerned, if you know that, yes, it might have been a flippant comment, but that type of comment for me was, that's in my thoughts. Why is that the case? Well, I thought it was pretty damn obvious. It's my daughter. It's my child. The girl before her, with ironically the same name, was fully aware that my daughter came first. And every girl that I went with, which isn't that many, I'm making myself out to be a right slag here. Don't nod your head, Ad. No, oh, you were Craig. Don't. Right? It's I made it clear. Even when I was on, dating websites, I made it blatantly clear that I had a daughter, and
vagina.
it's probably
No?
no. I should hope that my daughter's got one of those.
I'm
But I look at that and I think that that really put some trust issues into me, because I thought, well, and I know that's minor compared to what you two went through with that scenario, but every girl that came towards me, I was stipulating straight away, listen, I have a daughter. She comes before you. And, a lot of women would actually turn around and go, well, yeah, that's standard. That's your daughter.
I mean, I'll admit I'm lucky on that front with me and Mrs. that, she sees what I'm like with the kids, and she's turned around and she said, you're an amazing dad, with them two kids. And even when, I'm here, I'll drop her a message every so often, but she won't sort of say, well, hang on, talk to me. She knows when I've got the kids, which, it's nice when it's like that, and the kids are really good with her. So that's always a good sign. But, I know what you're saying. I was the same, when I sort of got back on the dating scene, it was like, yes, I'm single, but I've got two kids, and it puts doubt in your mind of how they're going to take it. Are they going to be like, oh, I don't want to be with somebody? But then it works both ways for men and for women. So at the end of the day, the kids are always going to come first, whether it's if they've got kids or anything like that. So some women and some men are understanding, some are not. It's the luck of the draw, isn't it?
It is. It really is. You look very quiet there, Craig. That's something you don't have to do.
It's one of them. It is one of them things, though. It's not a lot to ask. You know what I mean? When you get them situations, I mean, if you're clear and concise of what you want, so you can either accept that or you don't. You know what I mean? And I would say that if you are put in them situations, then maybe they are not the people that you need to be with.
No, she certainly wasn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I still remember actually what you said about her straight away, which is hilarious. And I remember you saying, I showed you a picture, but she looks like a bloody mouse. Well, thanks, mate.
Yeah. Did I ever meet said person?
Said mouse.
No. Do you know what though? Actually, talking about that, I actually went. I was speaking to a girl on Plenty of Fish, and I remember showing a picture to my dad. My dad turned around and went, "You know what? She looks just like your ex." And I went, "Thanks, Dad. That just ruined that one." And the problem is, I couldn't unsee it. But
bearing in mind that Daniel's foreplay techniques of women is stepping on people while they're at an ice hockey game and then not apologising. You know what I mean?
I didn't step
As
on
we
her.
will
That's
go back to
part.
this alluded little bit of information that we'll provide you at this game. So this this so-called person that we picked out, where we were conveniently going, he likes you, he likes you. Now, bearing in mind, this woman, you would have thought, this person, you're only going to see her once, you know. She's not going to be at every game. She's not going to be at this game and stuff like that. And you know, the first thing that I used to do when I used to get in the state in this Sheffield arena is I'd literally just I'd just fix on certain blocks, like the lower blocks, then the middle blocks and the high blocks, and I would literally just panoramic the whole arena to see if there was anybody around that we knew, the regulars as we would put them. And you know,
you got one thing wrong here.
What's that?
You've got one thing wrong. This particular story you're going to bring up actually started at Nottingham. We were away at Nottingham.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But
come on, I want to listen to this.
This woman that Daniel stepped on, he claims he won't.
I didn't step on her the first time.
Well,
I didn't step on her actually at all. I don't know what I'm saying.
The time that we're discussing, we were sitting like literally behind her. Down, she was sitting further down below towards the ice. We were further up top of the lower block. And Daniel was like, "No, I'm going to go and get myself a drink."
You've missed the first part, which is what annoyed me so much about the whole story. Is that we were at Nottingham, right? We were in the away block at Nottingham, and we sat there, and he actually pointed out to me. I'm pointing to the fucker because I'm probably not pointing at the right person on this screen, but he's there on mine, right? And I sat there, and he's panoramic viewing around him and bloody Michael, there of it. And they've turned around, and anyway, he's found this particular jet black haired lovely, and she was lovely from what I could see at the back of her head. And she, you know, and he went, "What about her?" And for the first time in a long time, which was really difficult to say because you really can't fancy the back of someone's head, I couldn't find a fault because it was a lovely hairstyle, and she didn't have sticky out ears that looked like the FA Cup, like Gary Lineker. And I had nothing to actually say, right? I had nothing to give that was a fault, as I used to be able to say. And the issue that that I had with this, and he went, "You need to tell her. You need to tell her." And I said, "I'll get out of this. I'll say, if we see her at the Sheffield Arena, I'll do it." Which was the biggest mistake I ever made.
Because old Mr. Panoramic here likes to find people like this every time he goes. Now, what Daniel alludes to is I was getting to that because obviously that wasn't the first occasion where we found it. That was like the second occasion.
Was she?
Yeah, because the first occasion when we first found her was in fact the first time you stepped on her, or we claimed you stepped.
No. No, that was afterwards.
That might have been another time, but it was definitely on the double head. It was a double header weekend. When
it was a Sunday.
Yeah,
it was a Sunday. We went to Sheffield on the Sunday. No, it was Nottingham Saturday, Sheffield Sunday, and we went there. And
prior to that, you stepped on her.
No, I didn't.
You stepped on it before we went to Nottingham. Before I found her at Nottingham, because that's what sparked her. You've got to go and tell her. You've got to go and fucking talk to her.
No, that's not how I remember it.
It was. No. You went to go and get some food. You went to go and get some food and drink, and you come back through the bottom part and come up. And like Daniel, never does anything fucking the easiest way, like use the fucking stairs to come up to his chair. He was fucking bunny hopping over the fucking chairs like Mr. fucking Smarty Pants he was, trying to not drop his drink. And he literally got within fucking licking distance of this woman. He literally got in with licking distance of this woman. And it was like, he hopped over the thing, goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he looked like he apologised to her because he looked that way, like he had done something. And then she literally turned around and gave him the dirtiest look. And me and Michael were looking at the guy, he's fucking stepped on her. He's fucking stepped on her. And he looked at her and didn't like quickly get back and carried on like bunny hopping over the fucking chairs and everything. And we got like two rows between us. He goes, "You fucking stepped on her, you twat." He's like, "No, I didn't." I said, "Mate, she gave you a right fucking dirty look. I reckon you fucking stepped on her." I said, "Go back and apologise." He was like, No, I didn't step on her." And then it went from there. She literally went up and was talking and said, "Look, I'm really sorry if I stepped on you." And she's like, "You didn't step on me. Yeah, but I'm just going to say, if I did, I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
So
I did.
you,
I
you,
went,
you didn't step on me.
honestly, she sat there and I was saying, excuse me. And she looked at me with a big smile on her face. And I'm there going, oh my God, the script isn't working. Right? The script, the rolling script that you have in me head, it didn't work because I was just sat there and went, wow. Like, this girl's actually responding
It was
to me
like
for a start.
go and talk to her then. Tell her that you like. Go and talk to her. Go and have a chat with her. And he was like, no,
I
I'll do
said
it. I'll
to
do it
her,
next time. I'll do it next
no,
time.
I
Next
did
time
it
I see
that
her.
time.
And
I
then
did it that time, and
he
I
did.
said to her, right, I did this stupid thing, right, and this is God's honest truth, right. I went down after you fucking accused me of stepping on a foot, which the funny part is I actually did step on something, but it was a carton, it was an empty carton, and that's how I knew. But when he obviously said you stepped on a foot, I went, oh shit, I better go and apologise. Yeah, you got to go and apologise. So back down the seats I go. I didn't even go down the stairs.
It
I
was
went back
it was
down the
literally just to
seats.
get him to talk to
She
her.
was like four rows down from me. And I went, excuse me. And she looked up and she smiled and says, you're all right. I went, yeah, just to let you know, I'm really sorry. I've just been told, I've stepped on your foot. I didn't think I did, but I'm ever so sorry. And she said it as clear as day. She went, you didn't. And I went, huh? And I looked one up, him and fucking Michael are pissing themselves laughing. And
Yep.
I looked, I went, I ain't getting out of this one. So I said, look, I'm really sorry. She goes, you didn't step on my foot. And I went, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. So please accept my apologies. And she went, I'll accept your apologies for absolutely nothing. So anyway, I traipsed back up and went, you bastards. Anyway, so at the end, this is what I remember. And he kept going, he likes you, as he does in his loud enough voice.
Yep.
And he turned and said,
Gradually
you know
getting
what?
louder.
Do you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually do this. And you
He
told
went
me to.
down
She
and
said,
then fucked off.
No, I did better than that. I stupidly found her. Out of everybody in this arena's full of about 8,500 people, right, all exited, and I went back. We were in the concourse, and I went back to fuck knows why I went back to the seat for, because she might have gone back. But I looked, and then, anyway, we found her outside on the stairs, and I went, "Excuse me." She looked at me, and she says, "Hi," and she had a lovely smile, and I said, "Look, I'm really sorry for stepping on your foot again." And she just looked at me and went, "You didn't step on my foot," and I went, okay, well, fair enough. I wondered if you were free. And she says, for what? I says, and you know what? Now I look back, she was genuinely interested in me. And I turned around and I went, because my mate really wants to go out on a date with you. And her face fell, and then I just went, you know what? I should have just said me. It would have been a lot easier. And I lost her at that point. But a lot of that again was going back to the despair that, I mean, to me at the time, she probably wasn't the prettiest thing in the world to everybody else, but at the time, she was to me. And yeah, I managed to floozy it over by saying that, sounding like an 8-year-old, by saying, my mate really likes you. So yeah, done that really, really well. So yeah, thanks, Craig. Thanks for bringing that one back up. I think we're going to eventually have a story for every single podcast that I've got, and we're going to run out in about 9. And no, I haven't mentioned the high five story, and I'm trying not to mention the high five story.
Or on the ice hockey journeys when we used to turn up and fight in bus shelters and
we've mentioned
bus
actually
parks.
Leicester.
Yeah.
We've mentioned Leicester,
Yeah.
where you ended up picking Michael up and throwing him into a fucking Leicester sign.
And the escalators at Heathrow when we went to Belfast.
I haven't mentioned Heathrow.
Still got the video for that.
I remember the Leicester one because that was
still
the day
got the video for that.
I have. I haven't mentioned the fact that Neil actually got you once on the tube.
No, Neil actually got me in the pub, didn't he? That he's now no more. It's now a fish and chip shop.
No, well, yeah, but no, he actually got you on the tube on the way home from one journey, and I remember having it, and I was going to record it, and Katie managed to hit the thing and record over the section where you got hit by Neil, and so there is no more evidence of you being hit by Neil. So, but
talking, I'm just going to sort of backtrack slightly. Sheffield, and you saying that Craig stitched you up with this girl. Now we spoke about Sheffield and somebody that you set me up with, but it wasn't just you. You was involved as well, Craig.
I was
Oh, hang
probably
on a minute.
involved
Is
in
he on
most.
your left as well?
You what,
Is
sorry?
Craig on everybody's left?
He's on my left, yes.
Right. Craig, are you on the left on your screen?
I'm on the right. You're
Okay.
both on my left, up and down.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, no. More than likely, I was involved in many a thing. To be fair,
Yeah.
I'm always involved somewhere along the line.
Well, that's true. That is true. If it wasn't,
Consequences. Do you
yeah,
remember the game of Consequences?
Yep.
Oh, they were brilliant.
In fact, I've still got the DVDs where we played Consequences on the train.
Oh man, Consequences was great. We're gonna have to reenact that.
it's like
We're gonna
Dan
have
mentioned earlier that he was in Stoke, and I was just remembering the old saying. That was it. I'm on a boat in Stoke with a goat named Jeff on it. I was like, oh,
That's
never
it.
mind.
That's the one.
But I think, yeah. But I have found something from our past, an image of all things. Don't worry, Daniel, it's not
I don't
that
know
bad.
if you can actually share it on here.
No, but I can. Well, I can because I can share
Stick
the
it on the
screen.
WhatsApp group, aren't you? Can you?
Yes.
Awesome.
Find it.
Well, I will give you the heads up now. I've got 5% battery left on my phone before it's going
Yes,
to
I
die
am.
of death.
I am going to wrap this up because we've done our usual and gone straight over the allotted time.
Nothing unusual.
Why
there.
not?
Hang on, I've got to find this for Daniel because
Stick it on the WhatsApp group because then we can. Sorry, there are other chat facilities available.
So Daniel mentioned in a previous podcast about my next door neighbour. Next door neighbour.
Yep, we'll go with that one.
Neighbour.
Oh, is this the one that's had a maps out for a modelling shoot that you
Right.
classed as your sister?
Yes. Right. Hang on. I've got one of the pictures.
Yes.
Daniel.
Sorry. I mean, you could just put it on the WhatsApp group, you know.
I'll just stick it there.
Well, I would, but it's not doing anything.
Is it not sharing the screen?
She's black for me.
Well, I've just got these purple dots appearing saying hello.
Oh,
there you go. So, well, it's fucked off now. Stick it on the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I'll have to take a picture of it for it to work.
A picture of it.
Yeah, hang on.
Christ. Well, while Adam's figuring out what he's doing with his pet chicken Gerald and his whatever he's doing with his thing, I just disappeared off the screen now. Listen, I'd like to thank Craig for popping in and discussing some previous memories and bloody hell, Adam.
Sorry, it had to be done.
I'd like to thank Craig for coming on as our special guest. I hope we'll get you on another one if you've enjoyed this one.
Yeah, fine.
No more
Not a
monologues about Tottenham.
Well, hopefully by then we would have bought some new players and we'll be further up the table.
Well,
or I'll see you next season in the Championship.
I sincerely doubt that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
Leicester is shit enough as it is.
It's all right.
Southampton.
We've got your third team on Saturday the 8th.
Yeah.
So, right. Thank you again, Craig. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us, mate. And and we shall catch up with everybody next time on the Ginger's Man Club. Remember to catch us on all the socials as usual. I'm sure Adam will have stuck something on Twitter or X by now. I'll see if I can copy it onto Facebook. And we're now live on Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube, I think.
Yep.
So you can find us and get your daily dose of all of us talking shit. Well, apart from Craig,
your daily dose of ginger.
That's it. So
not that much. There's probably more ginger between me and you, Dan, than there is with Craig.
Well, there would have been if I didn't have a shave today.
I don't know. But yeah, thank you very much, Craig.
Yep.
As always, you're a star. Hopefully we'll see you on a future one.
I'll catch you soon.
And it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me as well.
All of you take care, be safe, and have a cracking morning, afternoon, evening, or night, or wherever you are in the world. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Ginger's Man Club. Remember, you can interact with us on all the socials, and you can always catch up with us on previous episodes streaming on Spotify, YouTube Music, and Amazon Music. We look forward to you joining us next time. Bye for now.